Hello, mortgage coach professionals and your realtor partners. Welcome to a call with mortgage coach and Keeping Current Matters, Steve Harney. My name is Dave Savage. I am the CEO of Mortgage Coach. If you haven't already, connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook. We have a tremendous amount of content in our YouTube page. And today we're going to showcase our newest app, My Nest. To help me do that, we've got our good friend and partner, Steve Harney. Steve, it's always great to have you on the call. And I think what we'll do is I'll take the voice of mortgage professionals, since those are our members and customers, and something we've been doing for a long time. And while I know you have insights for both mortgage professionals and realtors, you take the voice of realtors. And let's introduce everybody to My Nest.
All right, that sounds good, David. That sounds like a really good idea. To begin with, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about, where we come from, and it really comes from a quote from directly from Dave Ramsey. All right, when getting help with money, whether it's insurance, real estate, or investments, you should always look for someone with the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman. Now, what that means is pretty simple. What Dave is telling us is it's no longer about selling. It's about educating the consumer. What I'd like to do, especially since we're a little bit more than a month away from Halloween, um, I like talking about the spookiness of the mortgage process, the spookiness of buying a home. And a lot of times people get very nervous about, what the situation is. And it's almost like if we had a child and the child's, asleep at night and woke up in the middle of the night in a dark room. And they came into our room saying there was a boogeyman in the room. Well, what we could do, ladies and gentlemen, the best thing we could do is walk them back into their room, and we need to prove that the boogeyman doesn't exist. The fastest way we could do that is by turning on a light. Once we light that room up, that room becomes a lot less scary. And the way we light up the room is through education. So let's talk a little bit about the education process. First off, I think it's crucially important that we use visuals. Studies by educational researchers suggest that human learning occurs by approximately these percentages. If we can show someone something, we have a much greater chance of getting them to truly understand what we're explaining to them. And that should be the goal. Remember what Ramsey said, going at it with the heart of a teacher. Let the consumer make their decision, all right, based on information that we're giving them and an understanding of the information we're giving them. So as we move forward on the slides, we can see that if we do that, not just make it an oral presentation, but make it a visual and oral presentation, the chances of somebody remembering something 3 days later dramatically go up. So I'm going to suggest to everyone on here the importance of using visuals. Number one importance is the fact that the consumer will have a much better understanding. But there are also benefits we receive by using visuals. And let's jump over to those. By using visuals, studies have shown that percentage that make a decision immediately after the presentation, a percentage of people that make it are 64%. 2 out of 3 will decide to use us right then and there if we have a good visual presentation. 34% increase, 34% of people see us as more convincing as a presenter. Someone who's done a good job of presenting materials. It saves us about 24% of the time if we include visuals into our presentation. So sometimes people will complain about, well, it takes me time to make those visuals. You'll get that time back at the presentation itself. You'll increase the number of people who see you as a convincing and increase the percentage of people that actually decide to work with you. The other advantage, very obviously, is presenters using visuals perceived, according to a study by Marco VU Visual Learning, were perceived as more effective. People said things such as this in that survey. People using visuals are more interesting, they're more concise, they're more professional, they're more credible and better prepared. Now let's just take a look at that and let's think about our families for a second. When my father, now I'm 60, so my father who has now passed, but when he came home from school back in the 20s, he didn't sit in front of a television as soon as he got home from school. He sat in front of what? A radio. And he listened to those stories. See, that generation became great listeners. You could talk to that generation. They were also great storytellers. So if you wanted to have a conversation with someone over the age of 80 now, you probably could sit down and explain things to them because that's how they spent the majority of their life learning, especially their early life. But if anybody my age or younger didn't come home from school and sit in front of the radio. They came home from school and sat in front of a television. They became visual learners. Everything was about the visual impact. And that's what made Sesame Street and a lot of other places very, very powerful learning experiences. Of course, they added that visual piece, and that's what I'm telling you to do also. But now we're on the pinnacle, and some people will say on the wave, and some will say we're even a little bit behind the wave of the next generation, my children, people between the ages of 20 and 40 that are thinking about buying a house. They don't come home and sit in front of your televisions because they can get anything they want from Netflix or anyplace else right on their tablets and their smartphones. Now, not only is it important to use great visuals, you have to make sure you're available to them in the digital world, in the mobile world, because that's where they're getting their information. And Dave's going to show you a couple of those things right now.
So Steve, I think you did an amazing job of not only telling a story, but talking about why MLS on mobile devices has become so popular and shopping for a home has become home entertainment. I mean, it's ubiquitous. When someone comes into an open house, they were either guided there because they had some app that told them that there was an open house, or while the home buyer's driving around afterwards, they're checking prices on their mobile apps because one, they're visual, and two, they're interactive. They can touch them, they can feel them, they can interact with them. So this is a great segue as we set up My Nest and our mortgage coach's newest innovation. We've observed many homeowners out there when they're out looking at homes, they're taking pictures. One statistic said that on average, millennial home buyers are taking 11 pictures on home visits. So they're driving up, they're taking a picture of the front because they want to remember it. A wife's taking a picture because she wants to share it with her husband. A husband wants, on the way home is what the wife says, hey, drive by this home and take a picture of it. So Mortgage Coach, we've been dedicated to helping families make confident decisions when selecting mortgages. We're still doing that stronger than ever, and that movement is growing. But we want to help realtors manage the home buying experience better, and we want to help home buyers reinvent how they're shopping for homes. So introducing My Nest. We made it really super simple for you to create a profile of every home that you go out and look at with your real estate agent, or you go out and look at on your own. You create a simple profile. And when you think of My Nest, think of it as something that's really easy to capture, organize your pictures and your notes. So while you walk out, you walk out of that home, and now you have something that's shareable for whoever else is involved in the home shopping experience. So I want to just walk you through that, 1 minute demo here. If you're on this call, you're either a mortgage coach who's a My Nest partner, and you want to learn how to evangelize this to both real estate agents and families who are buying homes. And if you're a realtor, you were probably invited by a mortgage professional, or you noticed some of our national advertising around My Nest, and you want to learn how you can use My Nest to work more effectively to create a better experience with home shoppers, and you want to work with a mortgage coach, and we're going to explain why. So Steve, feel free to interrupt me anytime throughout this conversation if you have something you want to add. But let's kick it off. Let's
Well, the
start
one
with
thing I
a
will add right now, Dave, if
go
that's
for it,
okay with you, the one thing
please.
I'll add right now, ladies and gentlemen, understand that your clients, your customers, they're trying to do this already. They have their phone out, whether you see it or not, trying to take a picture of the room, trying to remember which house they were in. We know people sometimes come with notebooks. Then they have a notebook, and then they have some pictures on their phone, and then they later on they're trying to figure out how to get the notes onto their phone so they can go ahead and email this over to someone or show. What MyNest does, it takes all those things that they want to do anyway, coordinates it for them, makes it very simple for them to do, and very simple for them to go ahead and pass that on to whether it's their spouse, whether it be a friend, whether it be their accountant, whether it be anyone that's in the process with them. So we're not asking that this is not something that people aren't doing already. We're just giving them the app to make it nice and simple and easy for them, which is exactly what the best apps do. Take what someone's already got a headache doing and make it easy for them. Go ahead, David.
All right. So let's take someone who's downloaded My Nest, and we'll tell you how to download it by the end of this conversation. You take a picture, and you'll notice that when you take that picture, there you could shoot a video, or you could record some voice memo notes. Let's say you walked up to a home, you took out My Nest, it would geotag where you're at, so it would tag the address for you, and then you would take a picture of this home. And now you would have started your My Nest on this specific property. So again, think of it as capture and now organize. Because right now, as you said, Steve, families are taking these pictures. They're just not organized. They get home and they don't know what house is what. They don't know what room is what in what house. Now we make it easy, just Instagram simple to go from I'm in a home, now I'm in a master bedroom, take a picture. And again, if you want to shoot a video or add a voice note, using modern media, capture and organize the home shopping experience. So again, we've made this very simple. Add the room. Now we're in the bathroom. Add it, add more rooms, go into the living room. Literally, a realtor, upon getting to an open house, could walk around that house within a minute or two and create their own My Nest experience. A family can walk into an open house and within a minute or two capture that, so that now after they've gone through and they've taken 1 to 5 minutes capturing that property, now they can share it. So they can share it
Hey,
via email.
ladies and gentlemen, one other thing I want to add to that, David. David was talking about if you're going around an open house. Imagine taking a listing. We all know that in the market right now, there's a shortage of listings. Buyers are always afraid they're going to miss out on the best listing. Imagine being able to, when you take a listing, take some pictures of the home. Now, I realize that you're going to have, most cases, a professional photographer, a professional videographer go over and take the pictures that you're going to put on to MLS and you're going to, put onto your websites. So we're not talking about we just want you to take all the pictures with your iPhones or your mobile phones. But the first group, some great pictures of the house and send it out to your buyers. That works in two different ways. You're letting the buyer know before it even comes onto the market, before you bring the listing back to the office. You're letting them know that this house is available and they should start thinking about it. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, is it's not just a buyer's tool. I think it's a listing tool. Imagine being on a listing and telling the homeowner, listen, this house is hot. We have some buyers out there. There's a shortage of inventory. What I want to do right now that you've already agreed to terms with us and we're going to market the house, the first thing I want to do is jump around the house, take some really great pictures, and get it out to the buyers I'm working with right now. I don't want to delay a minute. Now, of course, you're going to explain to them again, these are not the final pictures. You're going to have a professional photographer, a professional videographer. But what I do want to do before the day is over, I want to make sure the buyers that I'm dealing with that I know are hot for this type of house, get your house right now. That's a great way to confirm a listing, and I will even argue to get a listing.
Love
Go
it.
ahead, David.
No, I love it. Again, go from capturing to sharing within a matter of seconds. For a family, husband sharing with the wife, family sharing, the kids sharing, being able to review that. Again, this is not the MLS. This is not home search. This is home shopping. This is you pulling out, looking at the limited number of properties that you're most interested in, going through the pictures that are most interesting to you, and reviewing it. This is you at work. Your wife went out and looked at a property. You're looking at a new one. You're comparing it to others. And of course, from a relo perspective, I think that's a tremendous situation where families, they fly in for the weekend. They go out and look at 20 properties. They go home. The realtor's still out there previewing properties. And within a matter of weeks, they can make their home shopping experience more confident. So Steve, I mean, I think you did a great job of the, kind of the realtor situations, but what else comes to mind when you think of real estate agents using My Nest to deliver a better experience and work with more buyers? What are some other ideas and thoughts?
One of the things I would definitely talk to the realtors about is this. One of the biggest challenges we have is we are going on listing appointments, right? And one of the biggest fears of the listings that we're talking to, or the potential listings we're talking to, is will they be able to find a house? And a certain percentage of those people are so nervous about that likelihood that they say, no, I don't want to list it right now. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to wind up without a house. I don't want to sell this house and not be able to find something I really like. Now, in some cases, we can help those people go through the process. In other cases, we walk out of that house without the listing. The people just said, not yet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, every single one of those sellers to say, not yet, I'm going to make the suggestion. You say, let's do this. Let me help you download this app, My Nest. And this is what I'll do for you. I have a basic feeling for the type of house you're looking for. Every time I go into one of those houses, either as a potential listing, or I go in there, during a broker's open house, or I go in there to a caravan where all the realtors are looking at the house, I'm going to take pictures of the houses I think would make sense for you. And I'm going to get them over to you immediately. Because if there is one house that you really love, I understand that you're afraid of putting your house on the market because that house you really love, you have to hope you're the first one there. I'll let you know as quickly as possible when the best new listings coming out, meeting your needs, what they look like, what they sound like. I'll give you my audio as to why I think this might be a good house for you, and I'll click one or two videos of the house so that we can go ahead and get that information right into your hands. Because now what are you doing? You're following up with those old CMAs. You're following up with those potential listings, knowing you still care about them, and you have a reason to keep on talking to them.
I love it. Anything we can do to make your job faster, easier, and better, that's what we're dedicated to. So for many of you on this call, you're not familiar with Mortgage Coach. For over a decade, we've been powering the nation's top lenders and mortgage professionals with the total cost analysis. So while there's a lot of tools out there for families to get rate quotes and to understand their monthly payment and the transaction cost of a loan, Mortgage Coach is dedicated to what we call a total cost analysis. So with My Nest, you can click a few strings. The family can just go from one screen to the next, literally a matter of seconds. And instead of just getting a fee worksheet, which this is what most loan officers do, they provide rates, fees, cost in a lot of different ways. A loan officer who's with Mortgage Coach will deliver a total cost analysis. So this is something we're passionate about, that every time a family gets into mortgage debt, that they understand their options. They understand, should they do a 5-year or a 30-year? Should they do an FHA versus conventional? Should they do single premium MI versus monthly MI? There's lots of different options for every family. We want to make sure they understand their options. So if you're a real estate agent on this and you're not currently working with a mortgage coach, ask your loan officer why not, and send them to mortgagecoach.com. And they can not only start providing your families with a better educational experience to understand their mortgage options, they can also bring you My Nest. So again, the Mortgage Coach Total Cost Analysis, it's a mobile experience. However, if a family clicks on a Mortgage Coach link from a desktop, they'll get a desktop experience. And it can, of course, be printed out. It can be printed out from every type of device. Everything that we do, we're passionate about making it visual, and we're passionate about giving people options. And we're also, something we've been doing for over a decade, is showing families the cost of the loan over time. Now, if you're watching this pre-TRID, before TRID has been rolled out, there's a lot of buzz around that. The CFPB is making it a new requirement that every time a family gets into mortgage debt, they know the cost of that loan over 5 years. We have been doing that for over a decade, and we make it visual, we make it simple, and we put it on mobile. The other thing that a Mortgage Coach loan officer will do for every family that clicks on a total cost analysis, not only will they get these mortgage options with graphs and charts, but the Mortgage Coach professional can add a video to that. So they can humanize it and personalize the message, just providing, a minute or two of narration to, again, help make sure that family understands their options and make sure they understand the mortgage that they're getting in. I recently interviewed Dave Ramsey for the Mortgage Coach community, and this was his advice to mortgage professionals. Always start a relationship going into their goals, and then do a total cost analysis that shows them how they're going to hit their goals. And that's what we do at Mortgage Coach. We ask the families that you refer to us, what are their goals? As it pertains to a mortgage, we show them how that mortgage is going to help them achieve it. And we do it in a mobile way. This is an example of one of our mortgage professionals having a conversation with a realtor. This just yesterday, I interviewed a great mortgage professional in the Seattle market. This is an example of how he delivers a mortgage coach experience to families. A lot of his clients come into his office where he is walking them through their mortgage options. But let's face it, the majority of transactions are done over the phone. You know, most families aren't coming in. So to be able to send them a link and they'll understand their options, it's a tremendous gift. So
Dave, the other thing on that part of it, I want everyone on the call to know, and we do a lot of research here in my company, and every survey that comes back, every report that comes back, shows that anywhere between 36 and almost 50% of the people in this country think you need 20% down in order to buy a home. There's a large percentage, over 40% of Americans believe that you need above a 70, 80 FICO score to get a loan. There's so much misunderstanding, so much mystery, so many myths about the mortgage process that can be eliminated. Now, we know they love to look at the house, and as soon as we bring up the financing in the house, they get nervous again. What this does, what the mortgage coach experience does, it explains them in very simple, very visual terms, all of their options. Yes, you can put down 5%, maybe less than that. Yes, there might be PMI on certain mortgages and maybe not on others, but let's take a look at that. And they break that all down for them. And I think that breaking down of it while they're excited about a house will enable us to debunk a lot of the myths that are out there.
So we're committed to the real estate industry and we're committed to families to help them make an educated decision. So in addition to providing the total cost analysis for a family, a mortgage coach representative can also create an open house experience. So as a realtor, you can take this link, add it to your MLS, you can put it online, you can push it in social, and a lot of mortgage coach realtors will have their own personal devices on display at the open house and just use it as a way to have a more educational experience with family. And let's face it, also does a pretty nice job of helping get into conversations with more families. So, I hope this overview has helped you. Next steps would be go to your mobile device, go to your app store, whether it's an Android or an iOS, type in My Nest. If you have questions or challenges, or if you're a mortgage professional and you want to learn more and you want to become a mortgage coach member, you can either, if you're not a member, go to mortgagecoach.com, sign up a demo. If you are a mortgage coach member, you can always email mynest@mortgagecoach.com. But to really experience this, what we want you to do is we want you to put in the KCM code in the referral code so that we know you came from Steve Harney. We know you came from this relationship, and just start experiencing it for yourself. Download the app, put in the referral code, and go out this weekend. Go hit some open houses and start creating your own profiles, creating your own My Nest experiences, and sharing those. Just super simple to add a room, to take notes, to take pictures, and at the end of the day, it's the ultimate way to go out and shop for a home. So kind of a last thoughts, and then Steve, feel free to help close it out. I also interviewed Simon Sinek about a month ago, and he had recently had a mortgage experience. And after learning more about what we did at Mortgage Coach and understanding how we create value, this is something he said. He said, I would have asked my loan officer, do you use Mortgage Coach? And if he would have said no, it would have been a deal breaker because it's an indication that they weren't thinking beyond themselves. So put yourself in the situation of a family buying a home. Do you want education? Do you want options? Do you want graphs and charts? Do you want a video helping you understand? If you do, work with a mortgage coach. Not only will you get the total cost analysis, but you will also have My Nest. So Steve, as we kind of wrap this up, hopefully we're going to get a lot of folks to download the app, start taking pictures, refer it to families. But what are any other ideas come to mind, or any other advice for both mortgage and real estate professionals on this call?
When I first came into the real estate business over 30 years ago, one of the things we tried to do is, get the people excited about the house and then turn around, and we didn't really get involved in the mortgages, too much up front because we thought that would scare them. And because we thought that would scare them, we kind of backed away from that and made that the last thing we want to. Ladies and gentlemen, the buyers and sellers in today's market versus 30 years ago, they already have some information. Some of it is misinformation. They already have a feeling or a concern, and some maybe even a fear before they ever come to us. We have to go ahead and overcome that fear right at the beginning. We can't wait on that. And what the MyNest app does, along with the coaching from Mortgage Coach for the mortgage professionals, is it enables you to be very confident that if they love the house, they'll figure out how to mortgage it in a way that they'll also love. That makes sense to them. And in all my time in running Keeping Current Matters with over 10,000 agents involved with us, I've never said, and there's a million out there, I've never said this is an app you should download, because I really didn't want to get into particulars about whether this was good or not good. This impressed me so much when Dave Savage showed it to me that I actually did some work in looking into Mortgage Coach as a company. Mortgage Coach impressed me so much as a company, I decided I was going to look into Dave Savage, the guy who runs it, because I know ultimately the personality and the ethics and the honesty of the person running it will filter throughout the whole organization. And I got to meet Dave. I got to have lunch with him. I got to sit and talk with him about business. He thinks just the way we think at Keeping Current Matters. He wants to make sure that every family is confident when they're buying and selling a house and getting a mortgage on that new house. He thinks just like every great realtor should think. We're here to educate, just like Dave Ramsey said. So for that reason, this is the first app ever that I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, download it, start to use it. It will help you both on the buying side and the listing side.
Thank you for that awesome endorsement. And again, we are here to serve. So please download it. Please use the referral code KCM. And we look forward to having you be part of our network. So for all you great mortgage coaches out there, thanks for supporting us. Thanks for introducing this video to a real estate agent. And we look forward to helping everybody make confident both home shopping decisions and mortgage decisions. Steve, thanks very much for taking the time to provide this leadership. Really appreciate it.
The people need it. I appreciate the fact that you're providing this tool that they can use to make it better for their clients.
Right on. Well, take care. We'll talk to you soon.